200 years ago, the fundamental rules for our country were written, and today such document is known as one of the best forms of government around the world. The Constitution of the United States was written in 1787, and it established the rules on what the government could and could not do to its citizens.
Going nowhere, going nowhere.
The first part of the Constitution is commonly known as the Bill of Rights. It is a set of 10 amendments which grants citizens most of the rights they still have to this day, among which is the right to bear arms. The Second Amendment gave citizens the right to purchase and own a firearm. This way, every citizen can defend itself and its family from any threats.
Our right to protect ourselves. If anybody tells you that the Second Amendment was written to protect hunters' rights, there's some crackpot from New York or California.
But it was also written to defend the nation against any form of tyrant government, something this newly nation had just won its independence from years ago. A great example of recent tyrant governments would be Nazi Germany in the 1930s. One of the first things Hitler did to ensure his power was disarm the community, because he knew that an unarmed population could not possibly pose a threat to him.
Going nowhere.
This resulted in the death of nearly 20 million people in Nazi Germany, and in many other instances, tyrant rulers have used the same path.
Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow.
According to James Dazinger, author of Understanding the Political World, more than 200 million people have been killed in the hands of their own tyrant governments in the past century.
The Second Amendment was written to allow you to protect yourself when the police can't or won't. And it was written to allow you to use it against the government if it is taken over by tyrants.
Although the evident need for this amendment, in the past few decades many attempts have been made to restrict our Second Amendment rights. Some of these attempts from our own government.
As the United Nations is now considering at this moment a global arms treaty that would curtail certain gun sales.
To make a part of every day some kind of anti-violence, anti-gun message. Every day, every school, at every level. And just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way. And just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
They argue that by doing so, crime rates, especially murder rates, will go down. But just how true is this? According to a study published in the New England Journal of Medicine, in 1991, when guns were banned in Washington, D.C., murder rates went up by 55%. Same thing happened in Chicago. When guns were banned, the murder rates went up by 41%. The same with Great Britain, where murder rates went up by 40% after the citizens were disarmed. It is clear by the facts that banning guns and getting rid of the Second Amendment will not make a more peaceful and safe society. In fact, it will make it an even more unsafe society because of good, law-abiding citizens who cannot protect themselves. But not only will it not make our nation a safer one, it will also have a huge effect on our economy. Just last year, over 10 million firearms were sold in the US, with prices ranging from the hundreds to even thousands of dollars each. This number adds up to around $3 billion, and that is only in the firearms, not taking into consideration the amount of ammunition that is associated with each arm. According to Alex Robinson, a wildlife and parks and recreation expert, the hunting and shooting industry paid $251 million in taxes this year alone. But by implementing strict gun laws, not only will we not have that kind of money circulating around in our economy, we will also have more of our tax money going into the implementation of these laws, maybe cutting away from more other resources such as Medicaid, Medicare, and all other sorts of benefiting programs for the society. I interviewed a local gun salesman about the subject, and here's what he had to say.
You have to be 18 years of age for a long gun, 21 for a pistol. For pistols, you have to be a resident of the state where the purchase is being made. You have to provide a government-issued ID, like a state driver's license or ID. You you have to fill out a 4473 form, which is a form we use to do a background check with the FBI NICS check system. And if you pass that background check, we can go ahead and sell you the gun. From start to finish, about 15-20 minutes. If the background check comes back, proceed right away. What do I think about it? They're fine the way they are now. I think they work, but I know they're planning on implementing some other more, stricter gun laws, which in some cases it's good, in some cases it's bad, because most gun control usually takes ownership of guns out of good law-abiding citizens and takes their guns away, but the criminals will get the guns no matter what. And I do have a few pistols and stuff like that for personal protection, home protection, and stuff like that. Well, the Second Amendment, it says that we have the right to, have a standing militia, and we have the right to bear arms. And the reason they did that, because in Europe and a lot of the countries back then, a lot of the citizens didn't have access to guns, so there was no way for the common man to protect himself. And that's why I believe our founding fathers wrote that in, that we could have a militia, we could bear arms to protect ourselves against, a tyrannical government, similar to what the colonies were going through, with King George. I'd be against something like that. The first thing that, Hitler did when he took power, he took guns away from the common man so he could control them.
It is time we stand up and fight for our rights, those rights given to us by our founding fathers. We have to be better informed and better prepared for when the time comes to vote for our future lawmakers. We can defend our rights and keep the principles under which our nation was founded hundreds of years ago.
People run in circles, it's a very, very